Good morning, everybody. My name is Ian. I'm from the Bahamas, from year 7 at Pearson. Welcome. I'm sharing the hosting duties with 2 of the current students who will introduce themselves shortly. But thank you so much for making time to join the call. Really exciting. Thanks to the team at Pearson. We've done a lot of work to make today possible and get things up and running, especially all the tech support. There's a lot of magic happening here. To kick off, we are going to go into some breakout rooms and have a chat in a minute. But before we do, maybe I could invite Detini and Abru to introduce themselves.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Detini Esmeralda. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I'm a current year 48, which means that I'm a second year.
Fantastic.
Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm Abril Maria Bertorello. I'm from Argentina. I'm year 49, so I'm a first year. My pronouns are she, her. I'm really happy to be here and spend this hour with all of you guys.
Great, thank you, folks. So we're going to try and run the session for about 45 minutes, and then there'll be a little time at the end for questions and a bit of chat and catch up and so on. But just to make a start, we want everybody to have a moment just to introduce themselves. So we're going to send you all into breakout rooms. You'll see the slide up on the screen. When you arrive in the breakout rooms, please introduce yourself, say where you're calling from, your connection to the college, and maybe if there's a bit of time, just a favorite story or memory or whatever from the college. It's 3 minutes past at the moment. So if we give you about 7-8 minutes, we'll try and make up some time, and then we'll call you back in. So yeah, thank you. If we can go to the breakout rooms, please. We'll see you soon. Good, let's push on. Abru and Detini, would you like to talk a bit about our etiquette before we do the formalities?
Of course.
Maybe we can wait the team. Maybe we can present us again for the people that are late.
Please.
So, okay. Hi, I'm Abril Maria Bertorello. I'm from Argentina. I'm year 49, so I'm a first year. My pronouns are she, her.
Thank you, Abru. So I am Detini. I'm from the Dominican Republic. I'm a year 48, which means that I'm second year currently at Pearson College.
Thank you. And I'm a neighbor in the Bahamas. My name is Ian, and I'm from year 7.
We have 2 Caribbeans here. I love it.
We have 2 Caribbeans. World domination.
Yes. So what we wanted first to tell for all of you guys is please feel free to have your video on so we can all see each other and kind of interact with each other. If you have any question, please make sure to put it in the chat that is ubicated at the bottom of the Zoom call. And we will make sure to answer all your questions. If you feel the need to react to anything, please take use of the emojis or the reactions that are placed again in the toolbar in the bottom of the Zoom call. And yeah, just don't leave us alone because we're going to be talking here for a long time. So please let us know that you are vibing with us too.
Yeah, interact with us so we don't feel like we are just talking with a wall, please.
Yes. So I think we're going to proceed with the land acknowledgement. For those that are not really used to this, like in the last years, Pearson College have been intentional with connecting back to our indigenous communities. And what a land acknowledgement is basically taking awareness of the place we are occupying, especially when this place has been taken from native indigenous people. And in my case, and in the case of Abru and many of my peers that are at Pearson College right now, we are acknowledging the land of the Shuanu people, which is our native indigenous community with who we share the land with. But since we are having guests from all around the world, I invite you to acknowledge where you are, where your land is, and even if this land has been taken or stolen from indigenous people, I would like for everyone to acknowledge and kind of meditate on that fact.
We usually here in Pearson, we usually in the reunions that we just have in the Maxwell, we usually just close our eyes and we just acknowledge that we are here in the land that is taken by others. But I just proposed that idea, but then Detini said to be, not everyone is in Canada, and I was, oh, right. So
Yeah.
that's why it's a little bit different acknowledgement of the the territory. But yeah, we did something different, that we close our eyes and we just have a minute of reflection and just thinking in the water and in the air that is here. So that's the normal acknowledgement that we did here.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avru.
So let's move on to have a look at a new video, which has been produced by the college. It's a short 4-minute film, and today is the launch. You're the first people to see it. The film features a few of our current students. In fact, you might recognize some of them here, and invites us all to celebrate and support this final stage of the Renew and Refound program. After the video, and we'll have some short presentations by Craig, the director, and the chair of the board, before we come back to continue the conversation. So let's have a look at the film.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
The world is in dire need of change makers. Supporting Pearson College is what allows us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I have learned that there is such thing as work, but that also there is a more important thing, that is internal work. And Pearson really allows you to grow the seeds of culture and understanding that are inside of you, and that there is time to build a career and to find a job, but now this is the time to build yourself and to find who you are.
Everyone here, no matter what our differences are, we are all interconnected in our ways.
I'm Katendi Amory. I come from Uganda in the UK.
I'm Emmy, and I'm from Toronto, Canada, and Japan.
I'm Zach from British Columbia.
Bringing students from around the world is really a key part of our educational model. They get this opportunity to live and to learn from each other. That speaks so much to both the words of Lester B. Pearson and our mission, using education as a force to unite.
It is possible to create social change. That's the belief, that collective belief we all have. When you see an ocean, you see it's an immense ocean, but that ocean is made by little drops, one at a time. And I think that's what collective change making is about. It is extremely crucial to be able to support a movement like this.
One person cannot change the world alone. And I feel that's where places like Pearson really teach you about community, about relying on others, about understanding other people around you to be able to make that change in the world.
I think really big things for the future. I'm a dreamer. I want that my child and my next generations have a planet to live. Here, everyone feels more connected to the air, to the water. You realize that you want to preserve this.
This place has truly been transformative for me. It's not just 2 years in a life, it's a life in 2 years.
Coming to Pearson has changed my life. My family would have never been able to support me to actually reach a quality education. Thanks to some strangers that I don't know, I am able to be here. All this is quite surreal for me, because like a normal Dominican girl would never get the chance to do any of this.
There is someone making this possible, and there is someone believing in us as young people and as future change makers.
They're supporting vulnerable communities, they're supporting creativity, they're encouraging world peace and becoming part of this greater UWC mission, which is working towards using education as a force to unite people. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us. Hadamai.
Together, we will go far.
Oh, I always get
Wow.
emotional with that video.
I love that video.
It is so emotional. I want to go to this place called Pearson. It sounds wonderful.
Okay, so now we will like to introduce to you the chair of our board and former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, the Honorable Anne McLean, to share her reflections on the importance of Pearson College today.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. I can't actually see you all. Let me say, first of all, what an amazing video. And I think, Ian, you and I and Brew and Detney were saying that whenever one sees, and I have seen it only for the first time this morning, but when you see the video, you see the enthusiasm of the young people who want to change the world for better. I think we understand the importance of Pearson, the importance of the UWC movement, and why it's important for us this morning to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined us, who are alumni, parents of alumni, supporters, and perhaps new friends of Pearson that we might be in the process of welcoming with us this morning. So, first of all, let me say, I am chair of the board. I have been chair of the board for quite some time. And on behalf of the board, I welcome everyone this morning to this Renew and Refound public kickoff, if you like, the next phase of our fundraising campaign for Pearson. And I'll say just a little bit about that in a couple of minutes. But I do want to welcome everybody on behalf of the board, but also let you know that after a number of years as board chair, I will be stepping off the board at our AGM in November. But I am so excited about this next phase, the last phase of our Renew and Refound campaign, that I am going to stay on the campaign cabinet and work with colleagues to ensure that the Renew and Refound campaign ends with great success in the coming months and years. So again, let me say you heard Detney acknowledge the traditional lands of the Shiano First People on which Pearson College is found. Let me say that this morning I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which are Halifax found on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And for some of you, you may not be aware that reconciliation has become embedded in the very DNA of Pearson College. And there are a number of reasons for that. I do not have time this morning to talk about them all. But most importantly, it is about acknowledgement of the past, the wrongs of the past, and it's about an acknowledgement of who our neighbors are in Petter Bay, the land on which Pearson is located, and our ongoing positive developing relationship with the people of the Shiano First Nation. And I hope you all took on board that beautiful welcoming sign for Pearson College, with which Chief Chips, who is the Chief Shiano First Nation, Chief Chips helped design, was instrumental in the design of that sign for Pearson College. And we are very proud of the fact that we are located on the unceded territory of the Shiano First Nation. And we embed now indigeneity, Indigenous ways of learning and being, into most of the aspects of our lives and our teachings at Pearson College. But this is a journey, and we're at the beginning of the journey of reconciliation. Let me say that this is a happy occasion today. we are well along in our Renew and Refound campaign. Let me just mention one number. Our campaign, maybe two numbers. Our campaign is $40 million. And let me say a big thank you to everyone who has supported us and donated so far. We have reached the number of $32.9 million. And therefore, we actually have a reasonably small gap to close in this final public phase of our Renew and Refound campaign. So in just the last few seconds that I have, I want to thank everyone for being here today. There are exciting things happening at Pearson. You heard one of our young students talk about the importance of being change makers. Yes, absolutely. We need change makers who listen to, learn from, and respect each other. And this year, as you will hear from Craig, we have students from over 90 countries. I think the largest geographic representation in the history of Pearson College. And when you think about the complexity and challenges and tensions in the world in which we live, I think it has never been more important to have a UWC movement. It has never been more important to have Pearson College, Canada's school to and for the world. And it has never been more important for us to do whatever we can to support the young people who will be those change makers and peacemakers of the future. So again, I thank you all for your participation today. So many exciting things happening at Pearson College, and I know that Craig will tell you more about those things in just a minute or two. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Like, honestly, I couldn't have said it better. Like, the fact that we are so far in this campaign is incredibly amazing. And as you said, now let's introduce our head of college, Greg, who I actually know personally because he is my head of college currently, and I see him quite a lot on campus. And he will be going to speak about where Pearson now is heading in the coming years and how the future for Pearson students is looking like.
Yeah, thank you, Destiny. Thank you, Anne. Just reflecting on that wonderful video, it does make your skin come alive in a positive way, doesn't it? In terms of that great feeling about being part of a larger movement. I was privileged to represent Pearson recently at the 60th anniversary in Atlantic. And of course, that was the same messaging there around what is the role of this movement now moving forward, given we've been so successful for 60 years, but we have challenges in front of us. And the other thing just to reflect on from the video was meeting alum for the first time in person this summer. It gives you an indication of how challenging it's been with COVID because that hasn't happened. And, you know, seeing such amazing engagement from our alum. And as an educator who's worked around the world in different institutions, I'm always astonished by how connected the alum are, given that it was a 2-year experience between the ages of 16 and 19. And I now know, because Vuk's statement in the video is true, it's a life in 2 years. The intensity means that you forge connections that are lifelong. And that's part of the magic of the UWC experience. And I think the other piece that stuck with me is also Destiny's line around, thanks to strangers, I am here, something my family and I could never have accessed. And I think that's why we're all involved and why we all want to contribute to the campaign. Just to develop some thoughts about what we're doing at Pearson and, you know, tying to the campaign. And we saw that in the pillars of the campaign, which actually reflect our strategy. We have 3 pillars that we're building for our new 5-year strategy around climate action, Indigenous reconciliation, as Anne mentions, as the core of our diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice strategy, and community cohesion and collective decision-making. Those are the 3 pillars. The future ambition and strategy has intentionally sought to magnify Pearson's exceptional identity, its magic, and its context. So we decided that's to amplify our location, our place, and our regional advantages in being able to work with the Sianu First Nation and local university partners. So that is also tied to a lot of the reflection going on across the movement as we hit our 60th anniversary about impact and relevance for the movement in 2022 and beyond. And that reflection has been really supported by the publication of the Harvard Impact Study. That was a very expensive and long evaluation of the movement, interviewing alum, current students, past faculty, about, can we make that statement and claim now that UWC is exceptional in the impact it has? And the answer is yes, absolutely, we can say that, but they made a significant primary recommendation for there to be a concrete curriculum roadmap to help translate the idealism and passion of our students into effective impact, linked to whatever the biggest challenges facing us right now. So that idea of the curriculum itself needing to do that in a more intentional and concrete way. So in a sense, what we landed on was also validated by that recommendation from the Harvard Impact Study, because we had decided to focus on a new program at Pearson, our Climate Action Leadership Diploma, which I think harnesses the best elements of a UWC education, namely our national committees and their reach into over 150 countries, bringing those students to work on curriculum innovation based upon that impact and need. So in our brand new cohort, which has started this year, we have climate action students who are coming from those areas that are most impacted from the first stages of climate volatility. So we have a student from the Marshall Islands, a student from Madagascar, a student from Zambia, students from Indonesia and the Philippines, all in that cohort. And it is this reach into those pockets that has attracted a leading climate scientist like Dr. Deb Morrison, who joins us on campus for 2 days every week to teach that element of the course. She said that her and her colleagues at Royal Roads University, who are the leading experts in this field, are amazed by the reach our national committees have to bring those kind of students in. And then obviously subsequently the ripple effect this can have as they move back into those countries to do that work. Also, the thing that I've learned that's worth amplifying on this call is that learning about climate action is a systems issue that requires complex analysis and a variety of solutions linked to diverse areas and interests such as public policy, storytelling, carbon extraction science, circular economies, etc. So the course is not simply, as some people think, a focus on ecosystems and environmental science. No, it's really a complex systems analysis course. And complexity theory is a key part of that course. And perhaps the complexity theory and systems analysis might be the rallying call for all UWCs to focus on in terms of maximizing our curriculum impact in the future. A solutions-focused education, partnering with people who have that expertise. And we are very fortunate to be having people coming in for Vancouver Island University and Royal Roads, alongside Indigenous elders and educators, to help with this project, to help to design this course. And it's actually happening. I'm teaching a small part of it myself, and the cohort is fantastic. The other thing to mention also while I have you on screen is we're also at the same time building an advisory board of alumni, of patrons and leaders in different vocational spheres to help with this course in terms of having insight into what we're teaching and maybe helping us to tweak that, to think about how do we develop leaders who can work on ESG strategies in different companies. How can we help with tailoring our course to maximum impact in the world of work? And that can come through that advisory board, copying the format that you see in MBAs. And also that advisory board can also help in our fundraising and friend-raising strategies linked to the course. Just in conclusion, after spending a week at Atlantic College for the 60th anniversary and also spending some time in London speaking to potential donors and alum, I'm very, very convinced that we've landed on something that is going to work. It's really resonating with everyone I speak to about this particular course, because everyone knows that there's a huge appetite, and has been a huge appetite for a number of years, to tweak our curriculum to be able to do that work, so that our students don't feel that there's a conflict between what they're studying and what they want to do as change makers, which we saw in that video. And I think also people are convinced that our reach into 150 countries doing this kind of work is what's unique and what needs to be amplified. And so the other piece that I've been talking to potential fundraisers about is using our campus location, our access to expertise at Royal Roads, and our Indigenous partners to become a training center, to use Pearson's beautiful campus as a hub for training teachers, training executives in this work as well, to also then utilize that expertise that we have. And of course, this will require additional resource as part of this campaign. People are telling me this in London, they're telling me this in Toronto, they've told me this on various calls, that how can we also use this particular expertise and context to do that work as well? Because of course, the work we're doing, we want to share with public schools, we want to share with the UWC movement, we want it to have maximum impact, because that's what the work is about. So I'll leave it there. And of course, I think we may have time towards the end of the call for any particular questions you might have to follow up on some of those thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Now we'll lead Avru and I are going to be talking a little bit more about our personal stories. So Avru, would you like to pop in?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Destiny. So when I decide that I want to have a better education, I just search that in Google, and that's appear UWC College. So I saw all the page and I read all like the values that all the different students following the 18 different colleges that they have around all the world. And in all of that, I just choose and maybe get really into Pearson College, Canada. But, you know, I was just applying in thousands until in April 23rd, my national committee just called me and they said that the Canadian college just offered me a scholarship to study here 2 years. I mean, it was so amazing that moment. So hello, I'm Abril. I'm from Santa Fe, Argentina. I have lived all my life in a little town, and how the videos say, I'm always been a dreamer. I want to do really big things for my future, but in my country, people surround me just tell me that it was not possible because I just born in a country that is not that developed as other countries. But everyone changed when I just arrived here in Pearson, when I have to start to speak in English and met people from different cultures, with their own cultures, with their own languages, their own dreams, and now the dreams here are possible. For now, I just can tell you about my short experience here. Every day, you just learn something new. You learn about the indigenous people in Canada and how this land belongs to them. Pearson College change you in a slide mode. You know that you change, but you don't know how or why. You maybe been mature and a lot of you become more mature in a lot of brief time that you pass here, and you realize and learn about the global issues that help you with connect with people, so you can empathize with them, and that's alone to learn and make a change of the cultures. So Destiny, if you can tell us people your experience, because you're second year, just go.
Thank you, Abra. I always like to hear you talk. I feel like your enthusiasm is contagious. Yeah. For me, like, you quite heard a little bit about parts of my thoughts in the whole UWC movement, in the sense of how much opportunities it gives. But for you to get a sense of on how much this impacts individuals, I'm gonna give you a little bit more of context. So basically, my parents passed away when I was really young. So I became an orphan at a really early age. And then I grew up with my grandmother, which was a single mother. She had to take care of 10 people in my household, and things were not economically or socially stable. Things were hard most of my life, in terms of you have to get used when you live in zones of poverty, of unprivileged zones where there is not much opportunities, where you are kind of faded to not dream. Like, I feel like that was one of my biggest changes coming to Pearson, the fact that like now I can actually dream of going to university when like before that wasn't even a choice. And the fact that like I'm gonna tell you really personally from a second year point of view, because like as many of our alumni might know, Pearson and the Ivy is quite hectic. You have a lot of things to do every day, and especially in your second year with university applications. And the fact that I'm taking part of my busy second year time to actually be here with you guys and share my story and be part of this campaign is because I really value how much just like scholarships can change the life of people. Like, I cannot express into words how like my life will be completely different. Like, I might be back home without the fact that I now have access to all these resources, to all these people, to all this knowledge, because I always have been such a curious person, but I never had the chance to actually explode or like immerse in that curiosity. And the fact that I'm getting all these things, just like as Abru said, like just one day I found out that there was a program that actually finances and gives the scholarships to students. I didn't even understood how that worked at first. I was like, that's so crazy. Like, why will they even give me money to actually get an education? But I think I get it now, because I feel like it is some people like us who can bring this kind of backgrounds to campus. And now I can talk about how things are back home. The fact that I'm here and I'm able to represent my country and the problems that are happening back home. I feel like that's why like I'm here, and I'm really happy that every time more and more people can come from different backgrounds and actually give something to all the diversity we have on campus. So yeah, that's it from me.
Wow. Thank you, both of you, Abru and Detini. I think incredibly moving. For those of us who were there, 40 years ago in my case, it's good to be reminded of the fundamentals about the path to opportunity and change-making potential. At the reunion this summer, one of the questions which came up in a couple of conversations was, can we imagine what our lives would have been if we hadn't had this experience? And when you grow up in poverty or with lack of privilege or whatever, that path is very, very different to the one that we now enjoy. Thank you so much, Anne and Craig, for your contributions as well. And I'm sure you're going to hear it thousands of times, but please don't get tired of hearing it. We're so grateful to you. You've done so much, and you continue to do so much. No, really, no, Anne, you've got to hear it. and we're really grateful. I just had the chance to meet you for the first time this summer, but your reputation precedes you. We are incredibly grateful. We only survive because people like you bother. And you didn't go through the college, but you are of and with the college, and we thank you. Craig, thank you for your offering. The future sounds so promising and wonderful. This kind of opportunity for growth and development. Some of the chat is highlighting some of the other things that perhaps might flow out of your presentation. But I think the innovation around the climate leadership diploma is sensational. I think it's brilliant. And we've had a conversation as well, and I hope to be able to help through my day job and everything else. I think one of the things that remains true, which again comes out of your presentation, which alumni perhaps would be good to remember, is that even though this is a financial campaign and we do need those financial resources, there's so many ways we can still help. And time and effort and reach, our network, our know-how, our experience, our interest, our enthusiasm, all of those things have value. It's a working day for most of us, and we choose to be here. So that is a passionate, enthusiastic response to our commitment to this place and these people and the world. So nothing's too small to offer. And if I could ask you to just come back for a minute and say a few more words, please, about pushing forward. And then afterwards, we can open the conversation up a bit and maybe pick up on some of the things that are coming through the chat. Anne?
Thanks so much, Ian. And I think you and I would agree that probably there are no stronger, powerful advocates for Pearson and what we do at Pearson as part of the UWC movement than what we have just heard from Detni and Abru. So thank both of you, one for being our MCs this morning, but also for sharing your stories and sharing how important it is that one, Pearson exists as part of a global movement, bringing young people together from all over the world to share their experiences and learn from each other. But also how important it is that we are able to support young people who might otherwise not be able to enjoy and experience the Pearson culture and the commitment of the UWC movement to peace and well-being around and understanding around the world. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is the most ambitious campaign that Pearson College has ever put in place. I also mentioned that we are well on our way to achieving our final goal of $40 million. But I know, speaking on behalf of the entire Pearson community, we would like everyone on this virtual gathering this morning to join us. If you haven't already, and I know so many of you have, but for those who haven't, I would ask you to think about joining us as we finish this final phase of the Renew and Refound campaign at Pearson College. And if we reflect on that amazing video again for just a second, all those young people encouraging us, as Ian has said, in whatever way possible. It may be with time, it may be with financial support. There are so many ways. I know that Carly Downs is with us this morning. Carly has stepped up to chair the Pearson College Alumni Association. And I know that there are some of you on this call who are part of that association. But another way, Carly, a busy person living in New York City, and she has stepped up to take on a larger, more significant role as part of the alumni and the ever-growing number of alumni that Pearson College has around the world. So there are so many ways that you can actually support Pearson, support our students, our faculty, and our staff, and our mission. But the Renew and Refound campaign is very much one of those ways. We have, as I said at the beginning, a relatively small gap to close to reach our $40 million final campaign. That gap, the funds that we raise over these next months and year or two will in fact help us to develop further our climate action leadership program, push further with the Chicano First Nation to truly take on board the meaning of reconciliation and the importance of indigeneity in all that we do at Pearson. And as you heard from Craig, will also help us build a more cohesive, collaborative community. And it will also help us keep our young people, our faculty, and our staff healthy and safe in the physical surroundings of Pearson College at Pedder Bay. So I don't think there's any more powerful reason for you to be involved with this campaign than what you heard from Detni and Abru this morning. I would simply ask at this point, all of you, in whatever way you can, to join us. Thank you.
So, oh yeah, Taki, yeah. Talk.
No, thank you, Anne. Well, there's nothing really to add. There's everything there. I think very, very strong, very powerful message. Abru?
Oh yes. Okay, I want to thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And now we want to show you Pearson College church performance in the one word. Please feel free to stick around after that, or if you have questions, just ask them in the chat, and just enjoy each other's company. Thank you for everything, guys.
Thank you. I think I don't know if we have about 8 minutes. So before we get there, I wonder if we could just have a quick response. There's some questions around international education and peace. And there's some questions as well around change makers and leadership and how we identify. And I wonder, Craig, if you might respond to that briefly, please.
Yeah, happy to do that. And it's really important to make sure that everyone hears the response, because they're good questions. And I think, and they're ones that I understand how people can suddenly think, with so much of our emphasis on climate action and this new curriculum strategy, that somehow we're not paying attention to the focus that many of you would have had if you're alum in your Pearson experience. The way that we framed it here is really important, that we can't do the work of climate action and global sustainability whilst there's global conflicts like we're seeing in Ukraine. We can't do that while there's a cost of living crisis. You know, these things are all interconnected. And it's why the mission is around making education a force for peace and sustainability. The two things are absolutely interlinked. We run a really effective global affairs program, which has been running for a number of years, where the focus is usually on bringing in speakers to look at conflict resolution and conflict avoidance. The focus on peace and peace studies is there. We had a really big session last night, as Adrian mentioned in the chat, around our new essential agreements, which are on the website if you want to take a look underneath the UWC values, which are around how we as a community engage with issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice and global conflict in a way that honors our amazing model of bringing together 90 nationalities and understanding that intercultural piece. So 100%, we are doing as much work on peace and conflict resolution as part of climate action and as part of our wider UWC responsibilities. And it's interesting that's why I think maybe renaming the climate course could be something we think about in the future, because a lot of the analysis is systems analysis, and it's around actually talking about, well, if we have these climate impact issues, it forces migration issues, it forces and exaggerates the potential for conflict. And so the things are interconnected. Whichever way we look at it, it's 100%. And the other thing to mention as well is that I think that's where the Harvard Impact Study was really useful, by saying it's not the right thing to do to bring talented people together who all want to change the world and tell them that they're change makers, and then nothing happens specifically, because it creates a huge sense of guilt and, you know, perhaps anxiety. And so actually driving down on the particularities of how you do that in different ways, and do that in a way that says everyone has an equal role in this. You don't have to be X, Y, or Z. You can do this in a number of different ways. And that's exactly what the first week of lessons were about with Dr. Deb Morrison in the climate program, was looking at how you can redefine activism in that kind of way. And I think that's also really, really useful. So I think just wanted to reassure people around that. And I think the other question, just to quickly mention around how is this whole program and approach and strategy landed with the UWC IO or with other heads across the movement. You know, the phrase is that when you're copied, that's the highest form of flattery. I think that's what's already happening. People are wanting to adapt and use what we're doing themselves. I think Atlantic are driving on a similar kind of course, but they're calling it systems analysis, but it's very similar. I think Maastricht are already doing something similar with the IBCP on sustainability, and many of the heads just really want access to all of our work. And we're trying to do that, to try and create a blended package we can share with our sister colleges around the world. So 100%, I think people are recognizing that. And I'm actually in negotiations with the IB right now in The Hague to see whether we can actually pilot next year an adapted diploma that would also do some of the things we're doing with the IBCP as well.
Great, thank you.
Ian,
fantastic, yeah.
Hi, can I just ask Craig, Heaton from year 13 from South Africa raised the question that you touched on in what you've just said around, do we put too much pressure on our students by describing them as change makers? Actually, they describe themselves as change makers. And maybe this is more a question for Abreu or Detney, but I think it is a reasonable question to ask. Heaton, thank you for that. But I think our students arrive at Pearson already committed to changing the world whatever that means. And it means different things for different people, obviously for all of us at different stages in our lives. But I wonder if there's anything else you want to say about that, because we are also very sensitive to the fact that this is a pretty packed 2 years and our students do feel pressure.
Okay.
Did you
first,
find Heaton's? Yes, Abru, go ahead.
Mhm. I just passed 2 months here, guys. So honestly, more Detini can tell you more about the pressure of the IB diploma, but I can tell you that here everyone has really a dream. I mean, you are here because you want to do something. You want to do something big because our national committee select us because we want to make something with our lives. So maybe we just pressure a lot ourselves because we say, okay, we are here. I mean, maybe the IB diploma themselves is not that complicated if you just like relax and yeah, just another day of the school. But I believe most of us just think like I'm in an IB program. I'm here. I'm in an international school. I have to be like great. I have to do the things right. I have to do something like, yeah, you just want to do your best, and maybe you get stressed for that because you want to do your best, because it's like your teachers are learning, are teaching you really with a lot of enthusiasm. So you want the same, you want to give them same to them, sorry.
Mhm.
No, yeah, and just to like kind of fast touch up on that, I feel like yes, there's a lot of expectations on Pearson students always, because we are all about change making, but I feel like Pearson is really intentional with, I feel like sometimes it's not even Pearson, but it's the students. Like Pearson sometimes is trying to like that we don't have so many like initiatives, because every day a student body comes from with a new student initiative. So the board is actually trying to slow us down, like, guys, take your time, try to like think about your well-being and everything. But I feel like yes, we have a lot of like enthusiasm about what we are doing, but also Pearson is really intentional about offering support, like with the counselor and all the teachers. And I think like it's a learning process. You do learn how to manage stress and manage expectations, and I think that's kind of the tools that you learn at Pearson that is gonna even help you in the future, like at universities and in the real world too.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We are at time now. We'd still like to run the video, I think, for a little bit, and leave the Zoom open for anybody who would like to chat a bit further. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to run back to work. I think they're getting rather tired of my excuses that I've got to go off to Pearson suddenly. But thank you, everybody. Thanks so much to Anne and Craig for your presentations. Thank you to Theron and all the team who have done a fantastic job in organizing this. This is a result of a lot of work. It only looks easy because of the work that they have put into it. We had a rehearsal yesterday, a proper rehearsal, so, which I was especially grateful for. And thank you to my fellow hosts. I must confess, I'm very jealous of you. Talk of first year and second year and opportunity and looking forward just makes me think, wow, it really is something life-changing. So I'll say goodbye, and I'll leave it to Abru and Detini to say goodbye, and maybe Theron or someone on the team could keep the line open for the rest of the conversation. But thank you all very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, everyone, for having us here.
Thank you for taking your time to just listen us for 1 hour talking. So really, really thank you for that, guys, and for helping us and join us.
Great. Thank you.
Bye. Are you still there? I was just listening to that song. That is a Nova Scotian anthem. We Rise Again was written, I'm not sure by which famous Nova Scotian singer, but what it always brings tears to my eyes when I hear We Rise Again.
That was
Can you
very
guys
moving.
hear?
We can hear.
Yes, we can hear that.
That was very moving. Very, very moving.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a great song. Thank you guys so much. Abru,
Thank you.
Thank you. Ian, you're a natural at this, Ian. You're so
I agree. Ian was so comfortable the whole time. You could feel that he was in his natural state.
Wow. Thank you. But I'm going to have to run away to work, I'm afraid. But thank you all so much. And team, I shall see you later.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, guys.
Bye-bye.
And everybody behind the scenes who put this all together. Thank you. The wizardry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Bye.
Hi, Judy Scott. I see you.
Hi,
Goodbye,
Owen.
everyone.
And bye. Good to see you.
See you, everybody. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.